Welcome back, traders. In this video, I'm going to show you in a multi-part series how to create your own day trading indicators. I know a lot of you have been asking me about this on stream. So step one is going to be just getting your data ready so that you have something to build on top of. If you move too quickly, you can make something that's really flimsy and does not stand the test of time. We actually saw that on my live stream when I tried to do a live update and it didn't work. So I went ahead and I'm going to show you how to do this the right way. If you're new here, my name is Forrest. I'm a day trader. I've been trading for a long time. I've used my profits from trading to create the Move Miami. This is a brick and mortar business here in Miami, Florida, where myself and a ton of other content creators make content, as well as some of your favorite day traders. Some of my favorite traders and content creators, including Riz, Lance, Brightstein, and a few other people as well, just to name a few. So suffice to say, it is possible. You can do it. We're just going to jump into the weeds immediately on this one. So get your terminal ready and make sure that you have a virtual private server ready to go. You're going to need one of those. I'll talk about what that means here as we get into it. Let's get into the video. Oh, and please subscribe to this video and my channel, not just the video. Subscribe to the channel. You know what I mean. So we're here on quantvps.com. You're going to need a virtual private server. So they are one of my partners, just full disclosure, but I actually use them. So the second VPS is where I trade out of. I run Ninja. The first VPS is where I run a bunch of my own current trading agents and things like that. And this third one is what we're going to use. This is a brand new VPS. So I'm going to go hit manage on this VPS. And really what I'm going to do is SSH into this thing. Now, when you create a new VPS with Quant VPS, what's really important to note is that the default is a Windows machine. So I went ahead and built a Linux box. I'm going to show you how to do that first. Okay, so if you've never used a virtual private server, it's just a computer being ran by somebody else. The reason you want to do this is, as a software engineer, I used to be a software engineer. Everyone's a software engineer now. But you don't want to get into the game of having to manage your own compute. It's fun at first, and it's annoying when you're trading. So when I'm trading, I want 100% of my brain power focused on trading, and I want the stuff that my tools are running on to be stable. So I run everything in the cloud on a virtual private server. NinjaTrader, Replicano, I run on a virtual private server. I have videos talking about that. And the infrastructure that we're going to build for getting the data, we're going to run on a VPS as well so that it is up all the time, not just while I'm trading. And that's going to allow you to, again, to have this foundation that you can build things on. So the way that you can do that is scroll to the bottom. Okay, you're going to hit this open wizard button and you can choose an operating system. So you can choose where it says standard OS. Now hit the scroll down. I'm running on Ubuntu 24.04. Select whatever you want to do, hit start reinstall. That'll take some time and you're good to go. I'm going to go as slow as possible. This is going to require maybe a little bit of technical knowledge, but not too much. It tells you right here on Quant VPS how to connect to this thing. You're going to need something called a terminal. Okay, if you've never used a terminal, if you're on a Mac, pretty easy, but it might be a little confusing for you if you have not used a terminal before. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and open up my terminal for you, and I'm going to run this command in my terminal, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so you can see here that I have this terminal running already. I have special colors for it. You don't really need special colors necessarily, but I have a working directory for Claude and I'm just going to run Claude in there. That's what it looks like. But I want to do this on this remote server. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this command. Okay, we're going to exit Claude here, and it doesn't matter what directory you're in when you run this. You're just going to copy and paste. It's going to ask you, are you sure you want to continue connecting? Blah, blah, blah. Hit yes. And you need the password. So I'm going to grab the password from my machine. Cool. So you copy and paste the password, and now you'll notice that it says your root at the server. So it's the user and then where you're at. So there's a few things you could do. This is a brand new server. We could update it. We're not going to do all of that. What we want to do is install Claude. We need the Claude command line tools in order for this to work. So what I'm going to do is set it up. So I'm going to look for Claude CLI just in Google, and we'll go to the quick start docs. And what it says here is, okay, install Claude code. This is what we need to do. So on Mac OS X, Linux, and Windows subsystem for Linux, it wants you to do this command. So you can just copy it, come into your window on the machine, and paste it. Installing Claude Code native build latest. It's going to crank a little bit, do its thing. Now, you obviously need an account with Claude. So if you don't have an account with Claude, pause the video, go ahead and create an account with Claude. If you're using a different LLM, pause the video, go ahead and do that. It doesn't matter which LLM you use. I use Claude. This is not a Claude affiliate video. Okay. It doesn't really matter what you use. Okay. This is just showing you how to set this up. Okay. Don't get stuck on this stuff. Okay. So now to set up. So now I can just do Claude. Okay. Says command not found if it exists, but local bin is not in your path. Run. So I need to export this to my path. Okay. And now I can do Claude. What the heck? And source. This is echo. May not have got the line wrap there. Permission denied. So what I can do for this is just do sudo. In order to do this, I'm getting a permission issue. Sudo is going to say, basically run this as the root user. File name argument required. Why is this doing this to me? So let's full screen this for a second so I can read what it's saying. Bash and source. Okay, there we go. The line wrap was messing it up. So we fix it right there. I thought I was going crazy for a second. I was like, what the heck? Been doing too much stuff with the LLM. I forgot how computers work. So now we should just be able to type in Claude. Okay, so we got Claude running. That's great. We're on the server. You're basically done with Quant VPS. If you want to get a server with Quant VPS, you can use my code. You'll get, I think, like 60% off, something crazy. It's a crazy amount of discount. They're super stable. I run it for all my stuff. I run my business infrastructure on that server as well. So, like the building that I'm in right now. Okay, now it's asking me for some setup stuff. Do we want dark mode? Yeah, we're going to go with dark mode. Okay. Now, we want to use, do I want an Anthropic console account, a Claude account with subscription? Do I want a third-party platform? Anthropic console account, API usage billing. So we're going to use the second one in my case. It's going to open up a browser for me to log in. Okay. Now, the simple way to do this is to make sure that you're signed into the right window for whichever account you want to use. So I'm going to open a new tab here. I'll do this off screen. Click the link, use the system browser. It's going to have me log in. It's going to ask you to authorize. I know I'm doing this off screen, but it's got to make sure that you don't share sensitive information. Okay, it's really important. You do not share sensitive information, folks. Now it's going to give you something like this. Paste this. So I'm going to hit copy, paste it in. Boom, login successful. Press enter to continue. Boom. Due to prompt injection risk, only use it with the code you trust. Okay, whatever. I'm going to hit yes, I trust this folder. I hit no exit first. Now what I might do is go, make directory, Claude working. CD and Claude working, and then do Claude. So you can make a little nice Claude working directory. Hit yes, I trust this folder. Okay, so now we're just set up. We're basically set up, and now we need to make something. Now, I really like using agents for task. There's a few things that I want you to keep in mind. One is that there's another way that we can do this. So let me SSH into this server again, grab the IP from Quant VPS, and you can have multiple sessions. So I'm going to grab the IP address. Okay, SSH. We'll do root at blah, 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 blah. We'll grab the password. So I have two sessions. Okay, one is running Claude on this server in this window, and the other one is just in the server. If I do ls, I can see that Claude working directory. So I'm going to cd into the Claude working directory, and then I'm going to nano just some basic instructions. Okay. Actually, let's just nano thoughts.md. Okay. Now, what I want to do here is, this is just a text editor. Nano is a text editor. I'm just going to say, okay, for my request related to fetching data, make sure you take notes on what you did so you don't have to solve it twice. 2, I always want to use the system cron and not the Claude cron. I want all scripts, automations, task to run without the limitations of Claude. Okay, so there's some general ideas there. Hit Control X, hit Y, hit Enter. Okay, so I go back to my other thing, and I can say, all right, I now want to set up an agent. So I'll do /agents. I'll hit right tab over, arrow over, press the down arrow to create a new agent, and I'm going to put it at the project level, generate with Claude. Okay. Now I'm going to say you are the CBOE options data fetcher. Your job is to go to the relevant website and find the open interest for options expiring for the current task at hand. Typically, you are used to create indicators on Tradingview, so you will only be getting option data for 1 day. We'll say for 1 day. That 1 day is always the current day, okay? So that is job. It's going to get that. You will return the data in a standard format, create a options fetcher.md, and take notes on anything you figure out, and always reference this when you are running so you don't have to learn things twice. So this is a general thing that I do. Also reference thoughts.md. So I'm just going to hit enter on that. Created the agent. Okay. Now we have this agent. It's general purpose. This is going to be useful whenever we want to do this task. Now, what's really important here is we can run things ad hoc with an agent, like I'm about to do now. What we want to actually do is create something that's reusable. We're actually going to create an API. JSON parse arrow. Property name must be a string literal. Don't really know what that's saying. I've never seen that before. That's exciting. Generating agent from description. Very, very interesting. All I did was remove a period. I figured it was a syntax issue. Claude should fix that. So I'm going to give it access to all tools. We're going to have it use Opus. Okay. Actually, we're going to go back. Yeah, we're using Opus. And we'll make it red. We'll give it project scope. And we'll hit enter. So now if we go to our library of agents, okay, we see the CBOE options fetcher. Okay, and there's built-in agents below that. Cool. So now we want to hit exit, get back to our default prompt here. Okay. And what we want to do is fetch the options chain for SPX based off of SPX last close. I want strikes 50 above and 50 below. Show me open interest for just Friday, the 19th of June, this past Friday. Or basically, this is say yesterday. Now let's see what it does. This is a good little exercise for you. It should work. Should take notes. The more that you run this thing and the more that you invest time in creating like either a brain.md file, notes.md file, whatever you want to call it, it really doesn't matter. The more that you can kind of scaffold your agents and tasks, they perform much better. So the reason I wanted to do this video on a brand new machine, I could have done this extremely quickly using everything I built. It would have taken, like I could have snapped my fingers. The problem is that wouldn't be realistic because I have a ton of things set up. So I'm going to show you kind of the rough edges that you're going into. Okay, it's going to ask you if you want to do this, just say yes, always, don't ask again. That's another thing. Setting up permissions is something that you could take time to do. Take time to plan. The more that you plan, okay, even though you're using an LLM, essentially, if you don't tell it what to focus on and what not to focus on, it's going to focus on everything. It's going to burn tokens and waste time checking off all these different options. If you know it needs to go here and do that, then just tell it, hey, go here and do that. And then it can focus its brain power on how to do that, okay? Not necessarily what to do, okay? I'm just gonna hit yes over and over again. Hit enter, it's going. I'm just hitting yes. We can speed through this part until this thing finishes. This will take some time though. Okay. This is the heaviest OI since these round numbers. Cool. So it did that. So amazing. Great work. Okay, so we have call OI, put OI. Now, the reason we're doing open interest, you can just for whatever you want. Okay, you can fetch whatever data you want, you can source it. The reason I'm using CBOE is because they give you the interest for SPX for free. If you want real-time data and things like that, you can connect to like massive.com or all these other data sources. But we're going to focus on doing something simple so I can show you how to wire this together very simply. Now our goal, I'll say now I want to create an API and host it on this machine as a service that I can then hit via REST that returns a normalized JSON response of the data you just fetched. It should default to 100 strikes above and below last close and always have an error block that returns okay, if okay, and if not, returns whatever failure happened. So just adding in some safety measures here. It should run 24/7 as a service, and I should be able to hit it over the network. Share your work, test it, and let me know. Let's just say share your work and test it. Yeah. The other thing I want to do also, it should always return just the 0 DTE chain. Now this is important. Okay. So if it's Monday, return Monday, Monday OI, Tuesday, return Tuesday, etc. If it's the weekend, then return the next available sessions OI if it's available, but always just the closest tradable session. Cool. So that's it. That's the video. We're basically done. So we're going to test this thing obviously last, but this is running. Yeah, we'll test it and that should be it. So the next video that we're going to do after this, once this finishes, is we're going to use this API that we created. So instead of trying to create an indicator that also fetches the data and then builds the indicator, we're going to have this service that's running that will always give us the data that we need, and then we'll build an indicator on top of that in a different session running locally. Now, why do I do this? I could do it all in one go, which is kind of what I've been doing. The issue is that there's a lot of different things that can break, and by separating these into different components, it just makes it more reusable. You're probably thinking, well, Forrest, why didn't you do X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, D with the data? There's all these different parameters you can ask it. Why 0 day? Yes, I've thought of all those things. You can do those things, but that's not the purpose of this video. And the fact that you're thinking about that, you're the person that I want to film this video for, right? You're being creative. You should do that. You should also ask it to create test harnesses around everything that you create. You'll notice that it will have a much better job, take a little longer at doing things in one shot if you ask it to test things, okay? Now, I created a plan. It's writing out the service now. But there's a lot of things that you can do with this. Again, write some things down, take some notes, design a little system, have fun with it, think ahead, create agents, single purpose agents. You can do all of those things. And it really, I mean, this has only been 30 minutes since I started filming this video. It'll be shorter by the time you see it. But again, the more time that you take in prep, the faster and better that things will go. Let's see what it builds for us. What should the default strike range be? Yeah, plus or minus 100 points. Yeah, whatever. So it's cranking. It's writing some code. It's doing some stuff. Defaults to 100 strikes above and 100 below the last close. Editing the system service. It's doing that. It's doing some more stuff. It says the service is active and enabled. Auto starts on boot. It's doing some stuff. It's testing it. It's doing some stuff. Now what we should be able to do, the final test will be hitting this. We're going to use curl. We're going to hit the IP, and we should get a normalized JSON response. If you don't know what JSON is, it's just a standard format for displaying data that programmers use, that people used to hate because it was verbose, and then it became the standard because it's easy to read. And compute just got faster and people stopped caring. I remember, this is a really old man to me. I remember back in the day, everyone's like, yo, it's JSON. Like, you got to get rid of all these fields because it was always just like, first there was XML, which just had a bunch of parameters. You'd have keys without values, and then JSON did the same thing. So now we can do, looks like we should be able to do, it's reachable at this IP/XPX. Oh, let's try that out. So if I do curl, boom, 87/SPX. Woo, there it is. That's the test. So it works. Created an entire server that serves data. Okay, now the really cool thing that we can do is we can actually do this in the browser as well. Browser window. We'll just do that IP and do /SPX, and we also get the JSON here. So this is how we know it's working. Now, you can see that it has my error block here. Okay, that's included. Tells me the symbol, the last close, all of this. We have a standardized API response. Very simple. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, because I recorded all this, is I'm going to blow up this server, and this is really, really important for all of you. Okay, I did this publicly. I'm going to blow up this server. Okay, I don't have time to do an entire video on security, but part of this with AI and people doing this is they're not understanding. You don't know what you don't know. So I'm going to let you in. People will DDoS your server and things like that if it's just available, or if they know if you're not authenticated. Claude gave me a tip here, and it's like, hey, you want me to add auth, right? So one of the things you can do is that you can require like authentication via a token or some secret string or phrase or something, whatever that is, for every request to harden your server. Nonetheless, if you like this video, if you found it useful, please subscribe. This is just one of a multi-part series where I'm going to show you how you can use AI to assist your trading, not necessarily just creating trading bots and things like that. I think that's cool, but building indicators and things like that that can make you a better discretionary trader. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like the video. If you have questions, please do comment. I love interacting with y'all. See you in the next one. Peace.